Hi LEGO fans! A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a legend was born. A movie that would bring science fiction into the mainstream and rewrite the rulebook on merchandising. On May 25th, 1977, moviegoers were introduced to Star Wars, and the first scenes of that iconic movie were played out on this ship. With LEGO Star Wars celebrating its 20th anniversary, there is no better time to immortalise this ship in LEGO once again. So today, I'm going to be unboxing, speed building, and reviewing set number 75244 Tantive IV from LEGO Star Wars. This is not the first time we've seen the Tantive IV immortalised in LEGO. It was also featured in set number 10198, a 1408 piece set from 2009, and once again in a much smaller format in 75011 Tantive IV and Planet Alderaan, a 102 piece set from 2013. LEGO didn't deem this version worthy of an Ultimate Collector Series badge, but it is pretty big at 1,768 pieces. This is certainly an impressive looking set and has some impressive dimensions. It stands about 5 inches high, 7 inches wide, and 24 inches or 62 centimeters long. If you don't have a lot of display space, this could be a problem. As you'd expect with a large Star Wars set and a hefty price tag, in this case $200, we do have a good selection of minifigures. We have Princess Leia, Captain Antilles, a Rebel Fleet Trooper, and Bail Organa. We also have those two hapless robots. Those are George Lucas's words and not mine. These guys need no introduction, they are C-3PO and R2-D2. I'm a big fan of the understated box art in this set, especially with the tessellating LEGO elements on the sides. Over on the back of the box we get a closer look at what's inside. For the most part this is an impressive display piece, but there are also some interactive functions. Tantive IV features a 2 minifigure cockpit, a detailed interior including a conference room for discussing diplomatic stuff of course. We have weapons including stud firing guns, I'll look forward to losing a few studs later in the video, a weapons rack for storing spring-loaded shooters, an escape pod for the bickering robots to make their way to Tatooine, and a really neat carrying handle. Man, I really wish the UCS Millennium Falcon had one of those. The thing that gets me really excited about this set is the engine array at the back. This looks so cool, but I fear it's going to be repetitive to build. I guess there's only one way to find out. Let's crack open this box and see what kind of LEGO-y goodness we have inside. Now that was really interesting. Usually I use a knife to open up the box because it keeps it in good condition. You'll notice this time LEGO has included a tab that has to be broken to open the box. This leaves a kind of punched out section which confirms that the box has been opened. I'm presuming this is to combat problems with people opening up boxes, removing parts, and then sealing them back up and returning them. What do you guys think? Putting security features to the side, here's everything you get inside the box. We've got 13 numbered bags of LEGO, 4 large semi-cone shaped pieces, a 273 page instruction booklet, and every perfectionist's worst nightmare, the sticker sheet. I'm going to go ahead and put together the Tantive IV, and today this is going to be a 2-minute speed build. And here is the completed Tantive IV Rebel cruiser. Build time was just a shade under 4 hours and it was pretty enjoyable. As expected, the engines at the back were a little bit repetitive to build. I appreciated LEGO using some slightly different build techniques, but ultimately once you'd built a couple of these you knew where you were going. 2 things I really like about this set. Firstly, Princess Leia comes with a spare set of strides for when she goes out dancing. And secondly, we have a carrying handle. Before we start the review, I did make a pretty big mistake when I was building this. We should have 2 stickers at the front here. But you'll notice that one of the stickers is on the back. That's not where it should be. I do want to give a shout out to LEGO's customer service. Those guys are totally awesome. When a buffoon like me messes up the stickering, LEGO will happily send a new sheet. I'm sure a million people are going to point it out in the comments anyway, but I thought I'd better fess up. There's no doubt about it, this is a very cool looking LEGO Star Wars set. And measuring about 2 feet long, you may have to clear out some display space. We're going to start out taking a guided tour around the Tantive IV. We'll also be taking a poke around inside, demonstrating all of those lovely projectiles, and we'll finish up by taking a close-up look at those lovely minifigures. This is the Tantive IV, a CR90 Corvette designed by the Corellian Engineering Corporation as a diplomatic ship. I'm not going to pretend this is the most iconic Star Wars ship. It's certainly no Millennium Falcon and you're never going to confuse it with the Death Star. But maybe when viewed from a different angle you might recognise this from the opening scenes of Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. It's the first ship ever to make an appearance in a Star Wars movie, and as it speeds off into the distance it becomes clear that these guys are in a bit of bother. This is where Princess Leia Organa hands over the plans to the Death Star to R2-D2. We'll come back to those guys a little later. Starting our guided tour at the front of the ship, we have the badly stickered cockpit. I know, I'm very sorry. Stickering aside, this does have some nice exterior brick-built detail. There are no windows to speak of, but I'm sure there are some very sophisticated guidance systems. And to guide the ship, we need some pilots. To gain access to the deck, we simply remove these cone-shaped pieces. This reveals a very simple interior with room for 2 minifigures. Although there's not anything truly exciting inside, there is plenty of room for those 2 minifigures. Controls are very minimalistic and consist of a printed display panel. As well as the stickered detailing on the front of the cockpit, there is some additional detail on top. We also have a rather cool pair of spring-loaded shooters mounted underneath. These are easily reloaded and are triggered using a mechanism underneath. The mechanism is very simple and uses a pair of cheese slopes to trigger the spring-mounted shooters. The level of attention to detail as we move along the body of the Tantive IV is awesome. The LEGO Star Wars designers are wizards at using standard LEGO elements to make spaceship parts. For example, you might be able to see a roller skate and an ingot element here. I also like the occasional flash of colour, especially these lemon elements. LEGO seem to be using these more and more at the moment. We have some non-functional laser cannons mounted underneath, and these are mounted on a convenient pivot point. And on top we have another pair which ratchet from side to side and can even move up and down, thus revealing another opportunity to shoot the camera. We have a pair of single stud firing guns. And one more time just for fun. Towards the centre of the ship, the body widens out to create the main crew area. This is also decorated with cool things including ski poles, caterpillar tracks and bullion elements. We even have a pulley, another roller skate and a pair of binoculars. The ski poles on top of the crew compartment double up as weapons and can be moved independently. The entire roof section can be removed to reveal the interior. There's plenty of room inside for a couple of minifigures to sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee while they talk about last night's Game of Thrones. The coffee mugs and Eggo waffle are not included in the set. There's also room to play out iconic scenes where top secret plans of the Death Star are definitely not exchanged. Honest Mr. Darth? The description on LEGO's website does talk about a detailed interior. I've got to confess my experience does differ. We do have a pair of fancy binoculars tucked away in the corner. I think that might be one of those holographic chess tables. And in the centre we have a fancy meeting table with some chairs and a couple of computer screens. The computer screens are both stickered elements and definitely do not contain the plans to the Death Star. Sometimes it can be quite difficult to get to the interior of LEGO Star Wars ships. Thankfully in the case of this build it's really straightforward. Behind the main crew cabin is another really cool feature. This middle section with all the fins can be removed to reveal a weapons storage bay. Inside we have 2 spare laser torpedoes with a convenient caddy. It's a very simple thing made up of 2 LEGO elements, but I love the fact that we've got something to keep those spares in. Behind the weapons bay you'll find a pair of escape pods, which are of course a key component in the story. These are very simple to remove, and inside is just enough space for a pair of bickering robots.
Did you hear that? They've shut down the main reactor. We'll be destroyed for sure. This is madness. We're doomed.
The escape pods aren't particularly fancy and have very little room inside. There's no fancy graphics or anything in there. We do have some detailing on the outside with another one of those roller skates, and apart from that we just have a cover which goes onto the top. Mounted above the escape pods we have a satellite dish which hides a really neat feature. This is designed to face backwards and looks a lot better from this angle than it does from the other angle. But the really cool thing is that this lifts up to create a carrying handle. The carrying handle penetrates the body of the ship and is secured by a pin. You definitely don't want that to come off. Also be sure only to pick this up using the grey carrying handle and not the satellite dish, which can actually detach. Although it might not look very strong, it does the job really well and the ship has a really nice balance to it. The fact that the handle is mounted more than 2/3 of the way along the ship doesn't really matter, as we have this very large engine array to give it balance. This for me is by far the most impressive part of the build and contains some really nice detail. We have an impressive array of 11 engines, and for scale here is our head of human-cyborg relations. On the sides of the ship we have these service access panels which are stickered pieces, and up on top we have even more detail. We have vents which are really nice printed pieces, engine parts made out of LEGO pistols, and a bunch of flexible hoses. While there are some subtle details to keep things interesting, such as the red colour here or the sticker on this engine, these are the same basic build and you're going to have to do it 11 times. One of the nice things about the Tantive IV is the level of detail on the underside of the ship. This is a big build and that does open up the possibility of potentially suspending this from the ceiling. The underside isn't quite as decorated as the top, but it's not too shabby. We have little details like this spinny thing, whatever that does, and the engines still look mighty impressive when viewed from underneath. Like any of the large LEGO Star Wars ships, I really don't think of this as a playset. Frankly, it's just too fragile. But as a pretty detailed recreation of a ship from the original trilogy, I really like this. Now I just have to figure out where I'm going to put it. But as you know, this is not a one-trick pony. We also have a fantastic selection of minifigures. Bail Organa, Princess Leia, Captain Antilles, C-3PO, a Rebel Fleet Trooper, and of course our beepy friend R2-D2. This is Princess Antilles, captain of the Tantive IV. If you don't recognise this character, then I find your lack of minor Star Wars character knowledge disturbing. Perhaps this will jog your memory.
What have you done with those plans?
And for reasons that should now be obvious, Captain Antilles did not appear in any of the sequels, but he is a great looking minifigure. We have these full-size movable legs which are in this kind of khaki colour, and then a really nice printed uniform top here. We do have some metallics there for the belt buckle, and a little bit more metallics there for the badge which looks like the Purina logo. We do have some pockets on the front and an undershirt with a collar, and then around the back these hats do fall off all of the time. I'll show you that in a second. We've got a little bit more detailing around the top of the shoulders and a little crease in the back. This facial expression I imagine was designed for the Darth Vader encounter, although Darth doesn't appear in this set. It does look very cool with the kind of frightened expression there and the chin strap to go with the helmet. We'll come back to that in a second. And then around the back we have a slightly more chilled out authority figure expression, which I guess you'd expect to see with a captain. Now these hats are a little bit disappointing. It's a large oversized hat. As you can see here, it's ridiculously oversized. It does have a black visor which just snaps in place there. There's no way to see through it. But the clutch power inside these helmets is so weak. And these just fall off every time you touch them. It's really frustrating. It is a nice big molded piece, but it just needs to have more clutch so it stays attached to the minifigure's head. But in any case, that is Captain Antilles, and before I forget, he does actually come with a big blaster which is seemingly incapable of shooting stormtroopers. Let's put that in his hand there. It is a nice piece, this, with the metallic grey and overall a really nicely detailed Captain Antilles minifigure. And also on the Tantive IV you would have found a bunch of these Rebel Fleet troopers. We only get one of these in this set, but of course these were provided for Stormtrooper target practice, and boy did they need it. He also has the same blaster here in the shiny grey. He's also got some light grey pants on here with no printing, and then we do get this printed torso which shows this kind of vest. Then we've got a non-metallic belt buckle under there. Round the back we've got some more pouches here I guess on the back and some more detailing. Then on top we get the same helmet which falls off all of the time. We won't feature that again. Yep, and there we go with the facial expression. We do have the chin strap again, a slightly chilled out expression there. I love the eyebrows, they really add character. And then around the back he is getting ready to take on those stormtroopers and most definitely lose his life. Next we have Bail Organa, a politician from the soon-to-be defunct planet of Alderaan. He was also the adoptive father to Princess Leia Organa, hence the name. He is a really splendid looking minifigure and comes with this cape, although it is the papery variety. I like the kind of really fabricy variety. Around the back we do have a little bit of printing there for the detail on the back of the collar. Around the front we have this really nice metallic belt there with a symbol. I'm not sure what the symbol's for. It might be rebels, it might be an Alderanian symbol, and then he has these plain dark grey pants on. I don't think there's any printing on there. He has a shorter variety of the blaster, which is again in this nice shiny silver metal colour. And then we have this great facial expression which really shows some grit and determination. Let me take that off so we can have a look around the back. We do get an alternate expression which is slightly more muted. I love the facial hair there with the goatee and the moustache, and then we topped out with this black hair which looks very, very fitting, very well coiffured, and that is an excellent Bail Organa minifigure. And finally for the human minifigures we have Princess Leia Organa, who was the daughter of Padme Amidala, and this guy. Hey Leia! Okay, that was Anakin Skywalker, who later becomes Darth Vader, of course. She looks absolutely stunning in this classic outfit with the long robed dress. Now this is really nice because it is printed on the back and also on the front, and we don't often see that with these curved dress and robe pieces. On the front also we have the kind of very puffy bouffant dress kind of hanging open at the front there with the gowns underneath, and then a really nice metallic print across there for the belt. She also has one of these blasters, and again around the back you can see the hood, which she does have pulled up at one stage, and then the rest of the belt there. Super nice costume this, I really like it. And we do, as we get rid of her hair, hang on, let's put these on first. We do also have a pair of plain white legs if you wish to show her like that. Let's put this back on. Okay, let's talk about that hair. So we do have the hair which has these side bunches, looks fantastic, so perfect for the movie. Almost looks like she's wearing a pair of headphones there, and then a very serene royal looking expression. And if we turn her around we do have a very much more sassy, angry, means business expression, and that is the fabulous, fabulous, fabulous Princess Leia. Next we have the anxiety-prone robot ambassador for Prozac, C-3PO. He looks great in this metallic gold plastic, which is overprinted with some detail. Now the older versions didn't look quite so good, but the printing really is getting very sharp on these later C-3PO minifigures. We have a print that continues down the body and onto the legs, and as you can see here we've got some really nice details even between the kneecaps there. You can see there's some metallics for the mechanics between the legs, and then we have this gap here in the middle of the belly with some of the wires showing through, and up at the neck joint we have, I guess, pistons which make his head move up and down. Speaking of the head, we have this very blank expression, but I like the overprinting in yellow there for the eyes, which really make them pop. This is not a standard minifigure head, it is custom molded for C-3PO, and around the back we have some more printing on the back of the torso, which is again very sharp. We have these things here, which I guess there might be battery packs or something, and then the gap in the middle, so the actor, I guess, can actually bend over. Famously, C-3PO and R2-D2, or the actors who played them, did not get along at all well, but we'll talk about that in just a second. And that was C-3PO. And finally we have R2-D2, who was played by the late great Kenny Baker. Famously, Kenny did not get along with Anthony Daniels, who played C-3PO. In fact, it's rumoured that Anthony Daniels didn't really get along with anybody, but in particular Kenny felt that Anthony looked down on him. And I guess there's some truth to that, because Kenny was quite a short chap. Of course, we have this fantastic minifigure here. He does have these snap-on legs. He's not really a minifigure, he's a droid per se, but we do have some really nice printing there on the front of the body there, and some metallics. You can just see those gleaming in the light. The helmet piece, or the head piece, is in this silver plastic and then overprinted with the trademark features of R2-D2, including what looks like the eye on the front here. He looks great. Now these never get printed very well. You can see here that the kind of blue ridge around the side at the bottom there is not printed straight. I rarely see one of these that's been printed properly, which is such a shame. I wish LEGO could get this all the way around the circular element printing right. But overall, we don't have any printing on the back, and that is a very cool R2-D2. So that was set number 7524 for the Tantive IV from LEGO Star Wars. Whilst this didn't feature in the movie for very long, it is certainly an iconic part of the Star Wars trilogy, and it's great to get an updated LEGO version. Whilst this is not quite up to Ultimate Collector Series standard, the exterior detail has been done very well. I particularly appreciate the detail that was put into the engine bank at the back of the ship. Sure, it was monotonous to build, but the end result is very impressive. The thing that really let this down for me was the interior. I thought this was pretty basic, and I wondered if LEGO have plans to create a more vignette style of the interior. We've certainly seen sets like Escape from the Death Star, so maybe we'll get something in the future where Darth Vader can choke Captain Antilles, and where we can more faithfully recreate the scene where Princess Leia hands over the Death Star instructions to R2-D2. Who knows, we might even get some escape capsules to a better scale. Other things I really like about this set include the carrying handle, which was a really nice detail, and the storage space for the spare projectiles. Speaking of projectiles, the laser torpedoes were good fun to play with, as were the stud firing guns. Overall, this is a good looking set with some great minifigures, and it's going to be a great display piece. And who knows, one day we might actually get a UCS one. But what do you think? Did this Tantive IV model deserve the Ultimate Collector Series badge, or did LEGO get it right? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also be sure to give a shout out for what you want to see next in the Ultimate Collector Series lineup. How about a UCS scale Jabba's Palace, or even a micro scale version of the Mos Eisley Spaceport? That would be cool. Whatever you think to the Tantive IV, I really hope you enjoyed this LEGO Star Wars unboxing, speed build and review video. If you did, a thumbs up is always appreciated, and constructive criticism welcomed. So thanks a million for checking out this review, stay safe, and may the Force be with you.